Hey, Doc John here, and I am the Entreprofessor. Welcome back to the channel. I am really excited today. I have a real live Jedi on my show. I'd like to introduce Jedi Weller.
Hey everyone, my name is Jedi, and may the force be with you.
Oh yeah, I'm really excited. We're gonna talk about simulators today. We're gonna talk about Startup Wars, which I hinted at one of my previous ones. Jedi, one of the inventors of it. I'm really looking forward to it. But before we start, Jedi, I gotta see a Jedi mind trick. Let's see it.
Are you sure you want to see a Jedi mind trick, John?
Yeah, I want to see a Jedi mind trick.
You don't need to see a Jedi mind trick.
You know, I don't need to see a Jedi mind trick.
Let's continue the interview.
Let's just get on with the show.
All right, let's do it.
Awesome. Hey, what just happened there?
Don't worry about it. Nothing.
All good, right? All right. So, Jedi entrepreneur, one of the founders of a simulator, and those who've watched my channel before know I love simulators. I think they're a great teaching device, great way to get into a real life scenario, even if you don't have the ability to do that. Just walking out the front door. So this is pretty cool. So maybe why don't we start before we even get into Startup Wars? Jedi, why don't you tell us a little bit about your story? Yeah,
sure. So where did I start? You know, I like long walks on the beach, X, Y, Z. So
he's single.
I know, right? No, I'm not. We cannot say that. I have the ring on. Yeah. No, so on all serious note, like I said, my name is Jedi. I've been a entrepreneur for, probably the past 8 or 9 years now. I didn't always grow up, out here in Philly. I'm actually a Philly guy right now. I'm actually from Amish country in the middle of, Pennsylvania originally. So, when I was growing up, technology was like a brand new thing. I was one of the first people to, kind of get a computer, and I learned a lot about, the world through technology and through, like the computer and gaming, really. So, when I started my career, I started as a computer science guy. I went to Drexel, go Dragons. And, I did some amazing, I had amazing journey where I worked, corporate. I got to live abroad. I got to just do all these really awesome things as a computer science guy, as an engineer. But the whole time, my end goal was to be a business owner. It's always been my dream. My mom said that even as a kid, I was building fake lemonade stands and charging them money for, for lemonade. So I guess just entrepreneurship is in my blood,
That's excellent.
Yeah.
So when did Startup Wars come about? And I guess, and I don't know, maybe this is open for just the bigger question, but tell me a little bit about kind of the origin story there.
Yeah, sure. So I guess when I started out, right? So, fast forward to college, right? I was working 3 different jobs, right? Trying to, pay off student debt, trying to, really just get ahead. My family had no idea what to do, in terms of business, right? Family was not business savvy. I didn't come from money. So, when I was, starting out, I worked corporate, and I like to say that, corporate was a good education and it paid the bills. But I think as you and I both know, it was not very rewarding. It was not very fun. I was sitting in a cubicle for about 2 or 3 years with no sunlight. And I like to say, I'm like a flower. I need sunlight to grow, right? So I determined early on, corporate life was not for me. And I joined a startup company out on the West Coast, right? I did that for a couple of years. And when that ended, I was in this situation where I was partnered, or I was working with this woman. Her name was Liz Brown, fantastic friend of mine, really good founder. And she said, Jedi, let's start a business together. And I said, okay, yeah, maybe, but maybe not. I really don't have a ton of money. That startup failed, right? I don't know if now's the time, right? I actually, not only was now not the time, I had $2,000 in my bank account, and I had $4,000 a month in expenses because I just bought a house 2 days before that guy's company failed. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, Liz, this is not the time. And she's like, but let's just do it. And I was like, you know what? Let's do it. So I said, we didn't know what we wanted to do. We didn't have some grand grand idea, right? And everyone always focuses on the grand idea, but we knew what we were good at. I was good at software development and sales, right? Liz was good at design side, user experience, and the internals of the company. So we said, well, let's create a services organization, right? So that's how I got into the my first startup journey, right? Which is creating a services organization. That company was WebJunto. That went really, really well. We did, I think our first 6 months, we did about $70,000. Then we did 140, then we did 240, then we did 420. And then our final year, we did 1.4 million, which is really cool. So we had some explosive growth. Me and Liz, every story has ups and downs, right? So me and Liz, we split up as founders. And then I said, okay, well, you know what? I have this amazing team. I want to continue on, but I don't know if I want to do a general services company anymore. And I said, well, you know what? I'm looking at what all of our clients are paying for. All of our clients are paying us for mobile apps, right? This is like what we're really specialized in. So then that's how I created OpenForge, which is my primary company, and we're mobile app experts, right? We build just mobile apps for a living, and it's been going fantastic, right? And that's how I kind of fund other ventures as well.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, so tell us, what happened with Startup Wars? Like, how did this come about? What was the spark, and what's the story?
Yeah, sure. So Startup Wars is a really fun journey. So let me think. Where should I begin even with it? When I was starting out as a founder, there's so many things I didn't know, right? So many things. I'm sure you know exactly what this is like. I had unrealistic expectations. I didn't know what decisions to make. I had no idea how to do the legal side, how to do the client services side, how to do the XYZ, right? And so we started this community here in Philadelphia called the Philly Junto, right? And the whole purpose of it was to bring entrepreneurs and people together just to teach one another, right? About entrepreneurship, to answer questions, to just really share information, right? And I got to realizing that when a founder would come in the door, as I became more experienced, right? And I started giving more advice, right, than I was getting, as a founder would come through the door, I'd give them, advice from my experiences. And they would say, yeah, Jedi, that sounds great. I completely get it. But then 3 months go by and they don't take that advice and they get kind of burned because of it, right? It's not really their fault. It's really a matter of they can't experience it until they actually do it, Right. So the reason for Startup Wars is, well, let me ask you, Doc, what's the best way to learn entrepreneurship?
To get out there and do it. Start something, right?
Exactly. Right. But then how are you going to start something, right? With, when you're still in school or without the financial risk, if you're just getting into entrepreneurship for the first time, but you don't really know what kind of business you want to create yet, but you want to learn, well, how do you do it without doing it? So that's how Startup Wars came about. I said, there's got to be a way to give people the experience of entrepreneurship, right? So they can learn the experience, right?
Yeah.
But without the financial risk.
Right. Yeah. So tell us about the game. How does it work? What's it look like and feel like?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I can give a demo. I can verbalize it first. How do you want me to do this?
Yeah, talk us through it and then show it to us.
All right, you got it. Yeah. So Startup Wars is a startup simulation game, right? And it's pretty cool because what we can do is we can actually tell founder stories. So we can tell my story, we can tell your story. We can tell the founder of GoPuff's story, right? Any founder that's out there, we can actually tell their story, and we can put it into the gameplay. And then we can have students actually, come into the simulation, into the gameplay, and they can play as that founder. They can make the same decisions that you and I can make, right? And maybe they want to choose to do things differently. Maybe they want to choose to do things the same, right? But they get the environment, right? It's no longer just a textbook, right? Where they say, okay, well, I'm reading from this textbook. Here's a story about someone, right? Well, there's only so much you can get from that, right? Because again, we're trying to teach the experience of it, right? So how do we do that? Well, we put them, the player, inside the actual game, right? And we put the simulation around them of their office, their employees, their starting capital, XYZ, right? And then from there, they actually play, as themselves, as the founder, and they try to make the business succeed, right? And it's working really, really well. We've had a ton of adoption from so many different professors. To date, we've had 107 professors register to say, yeah, I totally want to use this. We've had 10 classes signed up so far, about 1,000 students. It's been a wild ride, and we're continuing to just build on it as we go.
That's excellent. And I'm sure they, like every entrepreneur, just experienced this really easy path from zero to billionaire, right?
Yeah, everyone thinks they're going to. Yeah, it doesn't happen that way.
Right? Well, so show us a platform. Let's see what this is like.
Yeah. All right, sure. Let me see if I can share my screen here. I'll give you guys a quick insider scoop demo. Let's see. All right, so let me share my desktop. All right, cool. So can you see my desktop here?
Yeah, it looks great.
All right, fantastic.
I love the login, the landing screen there. It's like logos and stuff.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, so there's two different parts to Star Wars, right? The first part is the student side, which I'm going to show you right now, and then the second part is the teacher side, the faculty side, right? So on the student side, we wanted to come at it from a mobile first mentality, right? Our end goal is to hit the broad consumer market of people who want to learn entrepreneurship, right? To start out, we're starting with the Education Institute because, it takes a lot to teach, right? And we're not teachers ourselves. So the education version allows the professors like yourself, right? To really teach the foundations of business and then let the students play it, right? So we made it a little very gamey, right? We want the students to enjoy it. We want it to be like, targeted towards the 18 to 25 demographic, right? And when we actually click log in, and I'm going to skip that flow for our demo purposes, right? We get to the first screen, which is creating your business plan, all right? Nice. So in this particular company, the company type is a dating company, like a Tinder, Bumble, right? That kind of thing. So me and you, we get to create our own dating company right now. So what should we call our dating company?
Oh man, I don't know. How about like Force of Nature?
I like that. Force of Nature Co. I love it. All right, we got to pick ourselves a logo here, right? And then we got to pick our avatar, right? So who do you want to be today?
All right, let's be somebody fun looking. I like the red hair. Let's go with that.
All right, yeah, you bet. She's awesome. All right, fantastic. So the first couple of things that the player chooses are more just for fun, right? Then they actually get into decision making. Okay, so one of the things about Startup Wars is that there's no right or wrong answer in Star Wars or in business, right? There's pros and cons, there's consequences and rewards, but there's no right or wrong answer. So one of the first decisions the player has to make is which city they want to incorporate in, right? For instance, do I want to incorporate in Philadelphia or do I want to incorporate in New York, right? Well, each city has different pros and cons. Like New York is going to be much more expensive, right, to live in, higher cost of living. We all know that, but it might have traditionally more access to capital, higher purchase rates, from consumers, et cetera, right? Whereas Philadelphia has, lower living rates, but has, big five universities, a lot of access to talent, that kind of thing. Then we get into picking the company type, right? So whether you're LLC or a C corporation, we're also working on adding benefit corporation status as well.
Love that.
Yeah.
Just that social impact and just to really create that awareness of what B Corps are about and how they work. That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, it really is. And let me ask you, do you teach, like kind of benefit corporation status in your classes?
We do. Yeah. It's one of the things we talk about. One of the whole tracks that we like to teach is social entrepreneurship and benefit corps, B Labs. That whole process is not as widely known that, you can create a company that's built on a different set of principles, not just pure financial principles. And even your investors go in understanding that this company is there to benefit society and make the world a better place. And so that is something I think that the world really needs more of. And I think it's exciting that more entrepreneurs and those that are studying entrepreneurship are getting more familiar with and really viewing that as a viable option for how they want to launch their business. So I love that that's part of your direction. That's great.
Yeah, no, awesome. And that's great feedback too, because for anyone who's watching, right, if you're an entrepreneur, then this. Customer discovery is everything. So, that's why I like to ask questions to professors because, the more we learn, the better product we can build, right? Because Startup Wars is a constantly evolving product and we need to know from professors, right? Like what's the best thing to do? What's the best thing to use? What do students want to learn about, right? Our goal is a platform. It's not to have all the answers. It's just to, empower other people to, to have the best experience. So
drinking your own champagne with that customer development approach, and nice.
Yeah, amen to that. Yeah. So once the student creates their business plan, right, which is just very simplified, then they're actually going to get into the core gameplay, right? And this is the exciting part, right? So part of the core gameplay is, again, to have the student be there as the founder. So you selected Yvette here as the founder. So this is you, right? And you're here, you're in it, right? You're in your office. In this particular example, we have the player starting out in a co-working space, right? And what do you do on day one?
Yeah, hopefully not sit around and read a book, but
right? Yeah. So one of the things that we found from all of our, all the tests that we've done with students is that when we ask the question, like, all right, if you start a business tomorrow, what does day one look like? Like, what do you actually do, right? Because everyone thinks about, okay, well, I got to do sales, right? I got to do marketing, and I got to build a product, right? Yeah. Okay, but those are very general. Like, what are the actual physical steps you take? So that's in the gameplay here. So what we do is we have 3 phases. We have ready, set, and go, okay? Right. On the ready phase, we select what our objectives, our goals are for that week. Okay, so do we want to focus on research first? Do we want to research our competitors? Do we want to, network and maybe attend a college party, right? Do we want to set up our domain hosting? Do we want to set up our articles of incorporation, right? The player, the student has many different options here, right? And again, no right or wrong answer, but they need to decide based on what they think and their business strategy, right? What they want to work on first. So I'm just going to pick a couple of quick things here. Right?
And they're constrained, so they can't do everything, right? Just like real life, you got to figure out which are the highest priorities and to execute on those, right?
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good question, because if we expand the details here, we can see that everything takes time, right? Yeah. And like this research competitors is going to take me essentially 32 hours. So that's a whole week right there,
Great.
Yeah, right.
Well, for an entrepreneur, it's like about a third of a week, but
yeah, exactly.
Because what's the expression? It's like entrepreneurship is working 80 hours a week for yourself, because you can't stand the idea of working 40 hours a week for somebody else, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. Yeah. So, and then speaking of which, so like let's say we do want to really tackle a lot, just more than we could possibly chew, right?
Yeah.
Well, we can't do it alone, right? So we can hire more employees. We can hire a team. We go to Laura Walters, our little recruiter here, right? She's gonna give us a little tutorial. I'm gonna skip through that. And we can find different people who are applying to work at our company, right? Nice. Every person you can see here has their own pros and cons, right? They have design skills, dev skills, marketing skills. Leroy Devkins here, he's a developer, right? So, his dev skills are really high. He's also $22 an hour, right? So, the player has to now make some financial decisions and skill set decisions to determine who I want to hire, right? And, why I want to hire them. So I'm going to pick someone who's kind of average. I'm going to pick Michael here, okay? I'm going to hire him. Awesome. Right. And we're going to go back to our desk. All right, beautiful. So now we got Michael here. He likes to dress up in the hoodie. So each character, has like a little bit of their own
persona, right?
Yeah, they do. And there's like different animations and stuff, again, to make it fun, right? So the characters do different things along gameplay. That's not part of the educational value. That's just part of making this fun. There's no reason that education should be boring. It should, it can be interactive, right? Yeah. And when we take a look at like our competitive landscape as a company, right? A lot of the competitors, actually all the competitors out there, like they're essentially Excel sheets on the web, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, we talked about that because I've used a lot of the ones that are out there. You and I've looked at some of the ones I've used before, and like you say, I mean that's really what's behind it. It's like some kind of a really basic spreadsheet algorithm with a little bit of a skin on top of it, right?
Yep. Yeah. Amen. So, all right. So we hired 2 employees. So let's go now and get to assign work for our team, right? You're the here. That's technically my name on this, right? But so we have the founder, and then we have one of the employees. So now we got to figure out what they're actually doing. So we've surveyed, like I said, about 1,000 students, right? And we asked them what kind of terminology, do they know about? What don't they know? And it was almost like 90% of students had no idea what sprint planning was, and the agile methodologies, Scrum methodologies, which is understandable, right? Coming into like a freshman, sophomore year, like we don't typically cover that, right? That's typically job training, but it's part of basically every tech company in the world, right? And most other companies. So it's my belief that we can expose students to this early, right? They don't have to learn everything about it. They don't have to be Scrum certified, right? But we expose them to this. So we're going to go through here and we're going to start actually assigning out tasks, right? Based upon the goals that we assigned. So we can see here, we have some research, tasks that are coming up here. And we can see that it says Jedi estimated this is going to take 2 days, and it's going to be +1 from my design skill, right? So this means that this is a design task, and this particular character, like myself, I'm not a designer. So while I could do it, right, I'm not as skilled as someone else in it. So if I had a different employee, and again, if I hired strategically, then that different employee is going to be able to get the same amount of work done in half the time, right?
Yeah. Great.
So it gives the player kind of like the ability. So we're going to assign some work to Michael too, right? And it doesn't have to be a full week. Again, this is part of the founder experience, right? How much time do I have to assign my teams to? Well, we hired these as full-time employees, right? And as you and I know, full-time employee, if you assign them to 12 hours or you assign them to 40 or 80 hours, you're still paying them. Yeah. So
now if you assign them too many hours, do they get angry and quit? Is that
yes. Yeah. Yeah. So we have it called the morale mechanic, right? And so we're building that out right now. I believe on this demo, let me just see here. If we go to our employees and we go here, we can see what their morale is.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love it.
So the thought is let's say you have a big deadline coming up and you want your team to, to push a little harder for a week or two. All right, well, you can do that. The morale is going to go down a little bit, but overall, you'll be safe. But if you ask them to work 80 hours a week for 6 months straight, well, they're probably going to quit.
Right. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, just like real life.
So I'm sure you don't want to show all the secrets because a lot of people who watch this are going to see it. So maybe give us the big themes, as you're progressing through, what are kind of the big things that happen along the way?
Yeah, sure. So goal setting is one, right? Team management is the other. And we talk about learning objectives, right? Nice. We want players and students to think about, okay, what strategy do I want to take? There's generally 3 strategies. I either do research first, I do marketing first, or I do product first, or a combination thereof, right? So, we get to see kind of what they do and how they do it, and they get to see the outcome of that. Then we do the team management, right? Which is actually hiring, firing, strategizing which the team members are right for which type of work. Yeah. And then we're going to have the most fun one, which is going to be the financial management. So we can see right here, right, that in this simulation, the player starts with $16,000 starting cash. And we can see it's burning down. It's burning down.
That burn rate is flying. That's real life right there.
Yeah.
The money, it's do I hear a sucking sound? It's all the money's flowing out.
Yeah, I know, right? It's so funny too, because every single player who's played this game has all come back and been man, I'm so frustrated. I couldn't find a way to make money. I kept losing money fast. How do I make money? And I always ask them, I say, well, let me ask you, are you going to make money on week 1? Right. And they're like, oh, maybe not. Yeah. So then I ask, what about week 2? What about week 3? And, it comes down to a question of, you're right, John, this burn down is really, really fast. Should we have hired 2 full-time employees right from day 1? Is it too early? Right. So we want this to be realistic, just like real life, Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, and then one other thing I'll show you here, if we can go to the weekly report. So at the end of each week, they're going to get essentially kind of like a condensed profit and loss statement. They're going to see the results of that week. We can see on week 1, we didn't make any money. Of course we didn't. It's week 1 of our business.
$1,300 in the hole, right?
Yeah, right. Because we have payroll, we have rent. Later in the game, you get taxes, distribution costs, subscription costs, right? Nice. And you can see we networked a little bit, and what do we get? Well, we got 1 user, right? It's not even enough to, to do anything with. So we want the players to learn again from experiencing this. We want it to be a realistic simulation, and we want them, hopefully to be better prepared for real life, because this will set the right expectations.
Yeah,
that's our goal.
Love it. That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's excellent. So So talk to me about like the benefit to students. Like students go through this experience, or even like you said, it could be anybody, right? Anybody who's interested in entrepreneurship, wants to learn about entrepreneurship, tries this out. What's the benefit? Like, what do they walk away with?
Yeah, that's a good question. They walk away with, and I think, appreciation and understanding of, hey, if I make these decisions, this is going to be the likely outcome, right? Yeah. And like that's invaluable, right? Because students can learn again from textbook, from their classes. They can learn from YouTube. They can learn like different principles of different things. You know, for instance, I can learn the foundations of marketing. I can learn the foundations of, you know, financial management. Like I can learn what a P&L is. But learning what it is so much different than using it, right?
Yeah.
So like that's the big thing here, right? You know, we're showing that we're allowing them to use it. Anything you teach them, we're allowing them to use it as soon as you teach it, right? And that way they can take the knowledge they gain from you as the professor, right? And they can apply it and they can get a much better like fundamental understanding, because like you said in the beginning, the best way to learn entrepreneurship is to do it, right? So that's what we get across here.
Nice. That's excellent. Yeah. Now, talk to the educators of the world that are thinking about doing this. They're teaching business, they're teaching entrepreneurship, they're teaching leadership. What's the benefit to them? What's really in it for them?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So for anyone who's watching who wants to, for anyone who's watching who wants to help their students better be prepared for the actual entrepreneurship and real life business environment, right? I'd absolutely encourage you to reach out, because what we can do is we can provide a simulation that takes what you're already teaching, and we can basically allow you to create some custom simulations around your existing curriculum. That way you can come in and you can say, hey, here's my curriculum. Here's what I want you to learn. Now I want to test out how well you learned it. I want to test out, did you actually pay attention? Was it actually effective, right? And here's how I'm going to do that. And then you can create the actual simulation. We're not here to tell you how to do your jobs, right? Like, we are not entrepreneurship teachers. We are the platform creators, right? So we've created this platform that allows you to actually create, a simulation that fits your class and for your students. So that's really like, what this is and how it can help the professors out there.
Nice. That's awesome. So it sounds like one of the differentiators is not just a simulator, like go and subscribe to this, but it has some ability to be kind of tailored to the learning objectives of the environment and the course that it's in.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So, and right now, so we have two different business types right now. We have a technology company, right? Like a SaaS-based dating company. And then we have a t-shirt company, right? Which is much more, kind of fundamental. A lot of students think they're going to create the next big t-shirt, business, like the Shopify business, right? They don't realize even how difficult that is, right? So we have these two different fundamental types, and we're working with professors right now to create more types, right? It's like more types of businesses. Some people don't care about the initial, day one of the business. I've talked to some professors who want to start at year one, right? Maybe they're teaching a more advanced class, right? Of graduate students. Some professors want to, how their students try out different types of business, right? And different types of simulation. So we're really kind of coming at it from an approach of, I'm creating this foundation. That way you can come in and you can very easily build your own game, essentially, your own simulation for your students to use. That way they can get an amazing experience. And also, hopefully you have an amazing experience too. You can have fun doing the creation itself. It's a good process.
Yeah, excellent. Good. Well, I'm getting ready to dive in right now. So I will have some live class experience with it very soon. So tell me about, for me or for an educator using this, like what kinds of information are they getting about the class's engagement with the platform?
Oh, that's a great question. So right now we have a reporting mechanic that basically allows you to see what actions the student took and when they took those. So like, for instance, if I hired a third employee on day 30 and I had, 20 grand left in the bank account, right? Yeah. Was that a good decision? Was it not, right? What we're providing that as a report so you can see what decisions they made and when. And then it's going to be up to you to talk to the student and have them self-reflect and say, okay, you know what? I made this decision here and then I went bankrupt like 3 days later, right? Was this the right move? All right. So that's what we have right now. Now, what are we building? Well, you actually get to decide that. So we're going through our customer discovery process ourselves. We did our first alpha last year, and we had about 350 students participate. We did a second one this year. Had almost 1,000 students participate, right? And we're ramping up for our full production release at the end of at the end of this year. So even fall and beyond, right? We're building essentially the features that teachers, the faculty are asking for, right? So if you or anyone else out there, if you're having like an issue with something that just isn't quite catching the students' attention, or they're not quite understanding it the way you would want them to, like for instance, customer discovery, right? That's a hard one to teach, right? Like, yeah, like, and we've heard that across the board. Like almost every professor we've talked to has said the same thing. Like, hey, do you have a way to simulate customer discovery? So stuff like that. That's what we're building out, is what you're asking for in our own customer discovery. Essentially, it's very meta.
That's right. Yeah, it's like that's right. You're like, it's like the big virtuous circle where you're doing it and teaching it and demonstrating it and simulating it all at one time. So
yeah, exactly.
That's excellent. Cool. Well, if there's an educator out there or just a person out there that is interested in this, wants to learn more about it, what's how do they connect with you or with the organization? What's the process?
Yeah, sure. So best way to connect is go to startupwars.com. And if you click register, there's a whole flow. You can sign up and then we'll have somebody reach out to you. Either it'll be me or one of my team members. If you want to connect with me directly, Twitter is the best way. So @JediHacks is my handle on basically every social media. And then feel free also to email me directly at jedi@openforge.io. So yeah, any way you want to get a hold of us is fine. Website is probably the easiest, kind of flow through. But if you're really, really excited and you just want to get a hold of me and you want to learn some more Jedi mind tricks, then just contact me directly. It's totally fine.
That's great. Jedi, thanks for being here. This has been awesome.
Yeah, thank you, John. Yeah, this is really awesome. And I'm so excited, to have you guys participate as well. And I'm so excited to just, continue building this out, with you, with everyone else. If you have an entrepreneurship program and you're teaching entrepreneurship, please reach out, because I would love to hear from you. I would love to learn how you're teaching it. I would love to learn what your pain points are, and hopefully we can build something beautiful together.
That's awesome. Well, thanks everyone for joining today and for listening in on this just glimpse at the future of simulation. I know everyone knows how excited I am about this as a learning device. So I'm looking forward to doing more with them as time goes on. So let's keep going.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's keep going.